Hello everyone. Thank you for watching. The YouTube analytics say my videos do better when I keep my gratitude at the beginning much shorter. So I want you to know, thank you so much for watching me. I appreciate you liking, subscribing. Just know that it's there, even though it's not a long intro. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about kind of what the end game is right now. This is beta, so things change. So I'll update these tutorial as we go. But right now, we're talking about world enchantments, how to get them, what to do with them, everything. So where I'm going to start off is what are world enchantments? So what these are drops that typically you get from master or expert level difficulty quests. So these are the ones inside of here, right? All these things. And what's going to happen is you're going to be able to they're very rare, and when you go on a mission with a party that you've selected, so no random people or pugs, it's only people that you have invited. You can add them to a quest to make them more difficult or add rewards. Um, there are basically two kind of groups of them. Um, and basically some of them will basically just say add more 25% more gold at the end or 25% more planar mana, but others will give you a combination like it will say, deals damage from dragons breathing fire on you, and those will give you kind of a separate bonus after that. So you can use only one of the ones that give you a bonus at the end. So if you say use the one that gives you 25% extra gold, you cannot also use the one that gives you 25% extra artifact resource drop. So you have to kind of pick. However, the other ones that give you a negative, you can use 1, 2, or 3 of them in any combination. Also, each of these has a tier list, a 1, 2, or 3 tier list, which will also up the difficulty and the rewards as well. Um, and it seems like for many of the damage dealing ones, like the fire breath one I mentioned specifically, it doesn't up the damage a significant amount. What it does is it upgrades the frequency. So that's how they kind of make it harder for you. So if you're going in expecting to get one shot, it's likely not going to be that. It's more likely going to be that it's going to happen more often. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come here into your guide, and when you queue up for a mission, you go to these little plus signs, you click here. And then you're going to kind of look through, and it will give you the breakdown, and it'll even tell you here 25% extra planar mana, but enemies take 70% less for damage from blue and black spells. You click on this little plus sign, that will add it, and you can see it here. So when you go into that queue, these will be the ones that are applied. Let me just briefly go over the percentages, like what they add, and then we'll break it down after that. So adding a tier 1 will give you plus 25% planar mana, plus 25% unrefined ether, plus 25% gold, and plus 6% experience. Adding a tier 2 will add 50% planar mana, 50% unrefined ether, 50% gold, and 11% experience. Then finally, the tier 3 is 100% extra relic fragments, 50% planar mana, 50% unrefined ether, 50% gold, 100% spell shards, and 16% experience. One interesting thing that we found out while we were going through this and testing, we found that the planar mana percent, specifically the extra percent that you get, will actually go over your cap for the week. So, it's only that percent. So it may be small, but it is there, and we're unsure if this was intentional. So that may be more likely to change as we sort of move forward. Okay, first off, what can you do with them? So if you're here in this little menu here, when you click on this, there is a salvage option. The salvage option will turn any of them into unrefined ether. This does not go over cap, so I would recommend not using this because these are really good gold producers for you. So you just want to probably sell them for gold. Now, specifically, what you want to do is, for a large portion of the game, you're going to sell them for gold if you get them from a random drop or a pack, unless what I would do is keep these two in your inventory. Keep Font of Riches, which gives you extra gold of any tier, or Arachnophobia of any tier. I would keep those two and sell the rest. Your inventory is very small for these. For the first chunk of a lot of the game, you can only hold up to 6. So, and the only way to view the inventory is to click on this plus sign here, and that's where you view them. I think personally that I would like an inventory management system for it, but this is what we have right now. So yeah, so like I was saying, you want to just sell them, and that's kind of going to be a big way to make money. Once you hit rank 6 in your Ether Core, you're going to unlock a new workshop. This is the Quill. It's going to give you two things. The first one is a larger pool of inventory of these. So you'll upgrade from 6 to 9, then from 9 to 12, and so on and so forth. The other thing that it's going to do is it's going to give you a cooldown for making one at random. Like your other things, like the planar mana workshop, it will give you planar mana over time. This one will give you world enchantments over time. So if any one of you was wondering what this little scroll is up here and why you can't click on it, it's because it unlocks at Ether Core rank 6. Then you will get the ability to do this. So expand world enchantment library and create one, and then you just collect it and then adds it into your inventory. And that's a much shorter cooldown. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about when you use them. So it's not so much about like you should be at gear score 900 or anything like that. What you want to do is you want to start thinking about the ability to use them when you can go through master at a comfortable pace. You're not worried about dying all the time, except to reflect mobs, because those are just going to kill you no matter what. But you know, like as you go through master, if it's like, okay, this is starting to feel easy now, I can go through this, I have a good amount of spells, I have a good deck, then you could start using them. The best way to optimize them is to use a party of 3 and put 3 of these in that won't affect your party very much. Then go into an endless quest, such as Bring Light into Darkness or Sibling Rivalry, and just farm it over and over again at infinite until you guys run out of time. Of course, you can use it in single player if that's what you have. You know, I know not all of us can squad up, but the preference here, the strong preference is to use them as a group, and only the party leader can put them in. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is the party leader has to have all 3. So how do you get them? Well, they're random drops. Some quests may say that they're going to give you them in the rewards, but they don't always do, we've found. So you want to be a little bit careful about that. And you always want to do it on master. That's going to be your best chance. So I've kind of mentioned this farming spot in my other farming video, but for this one specifically, I wanted to mention this because Like Minds is the shortest dungeon, and there's a couple of tricks you can use on the end boss here that make her super easy. So for some reason, this lava boss is not immune to lava damage. So what you could do is you could just I use Tornado, or you could use any real push effect to just get her into the lava, and then she will start taking a bunch of damage and you'll be able to kill her really quick. You'll also notice here in this video where I'm showing you both tricks at the same time, if you're a Geomancer and you use your Spark Power or Ultimate, you actually can stand in the lava and are immune to lava damage. I don't understand why that is the way it is. Alright, so for this next section, what we're going to do is we're just going to go over each in a line, all of the world enchantments, and I'm just going to cover what I think about them. Should you use them? Should you avoid them? How do they affect you? So what you want to do is you want to come to the consignment broker, and I actually just found this out the other day. One of the annoying things about the broker is sometimes people will stand in the way and you can't click on them. But if you just hold down Shift and click on him, you'll be able to talk to him basically at a way farther range, and like that. So that'll help you out if you ever need to go in and trade things. So let's go ahead and go over the world enchantments. We're just going to go over them one by one, and I'll let you know how I feel about them. So first thing we're going to talk about is Celestia resistance. We're just going to kind of cover all the resistances at once. Basically, what they do is they are all of the allied colors. So that if you look at the back of a magic card, it's the colors that touch each other. So it's green, white, red, black, um, blue, black, red, green, and white, blue. Basically, as long you can put these in because they only reduce by 70% the damage of those two colors. So if you have three players playing blue black and no one's playing green, you can easily put in the Celestia resistance and it won't affect your team at all. So you can just go right through it. So that's kind of where I'd start on that one. So Scholar's benefit is you don't heal out of combat, but you heal 5% of your max health whenever you draw a card. So if you have the concentrate spell, or if you're drawing cards at a rapid pace, this is actually like probably going to be a benefit because you still regenerate like health in combat. Like you have equipment and you have things that will allow you to do this. So as long as you're drawing a steady stream of cards, you're going to be fine. It might even be a bonus. Next, affliction. So affliction is 50% of the damage done to your critters is also done to you. So this one, there's going to be a bunch like this, but if you're playing a spells only deck, this won't affect you at all. If you're playing heavy creatures, this could be a little bit dangerous because the mobs will do damage to your creatures, and if they're doing a lot of damage, that could endanger you. So I would be pretty careful about using that one. Focused magic. Um, you do 50% less damage, but you gain 10 seconds of plus 10% damage buff every time you cast a spell of the same color as the spell you previously cast. Now, and this is up to a 60%. I mean, this is good. I mean, but like the thing is like you can't really cast spells that fast unless your whole deck is built around it, and you probably have to play a blue deck. And this is just too many deck restraints. What I would do is I would just avoid it. I just don't think this one's worth it. So just avoid that one. Paranoia. Enemy creatures target you in preference to your creatures. So again, if you don't have any creatures, you can easily put it on and it won't affect you at all. But if you do have creatures, basically, they're going to be is bodies. So you might be a little bit more dangerous if you're really relying on those creatures to tank for you. Like if you've sacrificed some of your health or your equipment healing to be on that. Spell burst. You do minus 70% damage unless you have cast a spell within the last 5 seconds. So if you're playing an all spell deck, easy. Basically does nothing, right? Because it's like your damage is all front loaded. I mean, there are some damage over time that are reduced. So I would say this one's fine to use if you're playing an all spells deck, but not super great otherwise. And even then, it's sort of in the like maybe I'll use it pile. Like if you get it from a drop, you could use it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to like buy this. You know what I mean? Or overarching magic. You and your summon creatures do half damage unless you have an enchantment spell active. Enchantments are okay. You could build them in your deck, but the problem is it's like they only last for 30 seconds. You have to draw them. There's a lot going on here. This constrains your deck build quite a bit. I would avoid it. I think there's better options. All right. Color Alliance. So this again is based on um, what colors you use. So if you're using those allied colors that I told you about, so this reduces your mana that you get, but every time you cast like a blue spell, you would get a black mana as well, or a white mana if you're playing a blue-white. So any of those allied pairs that I listed off, um, you're fine. But if you're playing a deck that's like red-blue, then your mana is going to be reduced significantly, and you probably want to avoid that. Okay. Font of Riches. So this one's good. Font of Riches just increases your gold gain at the end of the dungeon of the quest. So I would definitely work through that. That's a great one. Keep them, use them, buy them when you can. Um, Love it. Swirling Spells. This is like Font of Riches, however, it's for spell page drops. So if you would prefer spell page drops over gold drops, then use this one instead. Deliberate Tempo. Whenever you cast a spell, you cannot cast for another 3 seconds. I think that you're going to be wanting to cast spells over and over again if you're a spell deck. If you're a creature deck, it probably won't matter a ton, but I think this one is going to slow down your instance and farming speed in a significant way, so you probably don't want to do it. Magical Purity. Whenever you cast non-white spells, you gain Greater Snare for 5 seconds. Right? If you're playing a mono-white deck, this is fine. If you're playing any other deck, it slows you down so significantly that if something happens, like you're accidentally put into one of those thorn bushes, you just die. So I would avoid this one unless you're playing mono white. And if you have a mono white deck that's really good, I'd love it if you posted it in the chat below so that I could test it out. That would be great. All right. Rakdos Resistance. Yep, just as long as you or anyone in your party isn't playing red or black, it's great. So your non-blue spells cost 50% more mana. So this one on the surface may not seem too bad, but it is actually quite bad. I would avoid using this one, especially if you're playing any like green decks where it's like there are a bunch of cards that just become uncastable. So it's like you can't cast the Green Warden anymore. Abyssal Flames is like you have to have your whole bar full, or you might not even be able to cast it. So that it makes some cards uncastable, which is not where you want to be when you're doing these sorts of things. Mana Feedback. Whenever you cast a spell, take damage equal to 20% at tier 2. So it looks like it's like 15, 20, 25 of your max health. So what I would do is also avoid this. Your creatures and your spells, like even if you are playing a creature deck, you still have to have a bunch of spells in it. So you're going to be casting these spells, you're going to be taking a bunch of damage. So unless you're like life stealing or anything like that, it's going to be really hard to kind of work through. Air support, like I said, it's basically a dragon flies over and breathes damage. This one's fine. We did it on tier 3. We tested a bunch of these. Even at tier 3, it's breathing fire all the time, and you hardly notice it. So I mean, it's a fine one. The damage is so little, you don't really need to pay attention to it, as long as you're just like moving at all. And even then, you probably could stand still for a long time without really noticing your health get low. Arachnophobia is basically the best one. So the reason why it is the best one is a little bit interesting. So basically what this does is whenever a creature dies, it will create spiders. It'll create more mobs for you to kill. Now, initially this may seem like a bad thing for you, but the plus side is it drops more mobs, so then you can kill those. Like more mobs equals more loot, which is perfect. All right. Dark Devotion. So whenever you cast a non-black spell, lose 40% of your maximum health. So if you're playing mono black, you're fine, but anything else, you don't want to be playing. This 40% of your max health is a ton of health. You want to avoid that unless you're playing mono black. Volatility is enemies do 25% more damage, but take 50% more from red sorcery spells. So, like, I guess if you're playing a mono red sorceries build, yeah, it's good. However, like, other than that, it's just the creatures are doing more damage to you, so you probably want to avoid that. Demir Resistance, don't play blue or black. So I would never use this in my current build. Death Servant, I would avoid this one. Basically, there's an unkillable mob that one-shots you when it hits you. Lots of bad stuff there. Don't want to play that. Relic Rush, this is the one that gives you extra relic resource. So I would say you probably don't want to use this one or buy it. You could use it, but the caps are so low on relic inventory that it's like, yeah, you'll use it if you pick it up, but I would avoid like buying them. Like I wouldn't say buying them is worth it. All right, Gruul Resistance, don't play green or red. Attenuation, this one says you and your allies deal 50% damage from ranged attacks. So I guess if you're doing a spell like a heavy spell deck, this one's probably not very good for you to play because most of them are ranged attacks. I would say this one's a really complicated one, and like you have to rely on your creatures doing a lot of damage or a lot of your spells, but like some of them may be super short range. So it's like I would avoid this one just because it's so complicated. Like in the way that like it could be finicky, and the way the game could read it could be you could be doing a lot less damage than you expect to. Azurius Resistance, you want to just avoid um, blue or white. Nature's Way. Uh, all your non-green creatures have 60% less health. So if you're not playing any creatures, you're fine. This does nothing. If you're playing green creatures only, then you're also fine. So that's great. All right, and the last one is Sorcery Suppression. So your sorceries do 50% less damage. So this one again, I would avoid this one in basically any deck because even creature decks, you like basically are still going to be casting a bunch of spells because you can only have so many creature points. So this one's going to nerf a lot of your deck, or make it weaker. So this one I would also avoid. Okay, so in summation, if you had to choose your like three most perfect world enchantments to add on to a quest to do, the first one I would pick is Font of Riches. It gives you extra gold, and it will be given to you upon the completion of the mission. Gold is a huge like stopgap in this game. It'll allow you to get a bunch of things later on in the game, like the other ones that you can get spell pages. Yeah, that's good, but I mean you're gonna farm those a ton anyway. But gold is I think the big one. So I mean if you're for your resource, I would either say Font of Riches or Swirling Spells, but I think Font of Riches is good. Then, and of course, all of these are going to be rank 3. Then you definitely want to put in your Arachnophobia to get the extra mob drops, to get the extra gold, to get the extra spell pages. It just sort of snowballs on top of everything. And then what I do is I would just pick, if you have the luxury, like if everyone is playing a black-blue deck, you could just put in like a resistance, like a Gruul resistance for green-red, so it doesn't do anything, right? So the resistance is going to be a really good one if it doesn't apply to you or any of your party. But let's say your party is like spread out over the course, like everyone has all color represented. What you'd want to do is just pick something that applies to the least amount of people as possible. So like maybe if no one's playing a creature deck, you could play Nature's Way, or maybe if only one person is playing a green creature deck. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of what I would do is kind of just make sure that none of the things apply. Um, Honestly, air support did so little damage that I might go with that one too at rank 3. If everyone's playing super like spread out colors, if everyone has a color represented, air support did almost nothing to us as we were going through. It does about 3k in ticks and then 6k if the blast hits you initially, and you regenerate that so fast. So I'd say air support, arachnophobia, font of riches if I had to build it, but you'd probably want to do a resistance just in there because it's like, you could probably coordinate your decks enough so that you could do it. Okay, so that's all of them. I hope that helps. You have a great night. Bye.